a poor country, and this magnificent palace in it. Today, the walls of this palace bear witness to the painful death of 300,000 people. These are the walls where you will see only skulls, blood, signs of someone's struggle, or tools used to torture someone. This was someone who spent hours talking to corpses, spending time with them, and eventually sleeping with them. Despite Idi Amin being so ruthless and heartless, the people of Uganda kept him as their president for a long time. People there loved him the most, but why did people love this president so much despite killing so many people and doing such things? The story of this president begins between 1924 and 1925, when Idi Amin was born in a small Kakwa tribe in northwestern Uganda. At that time, Uganda, like other countries, was a victim of British violence and slavery. It is now said that the Kakwa people were a bit dangerous. They lived very close to nature and often drank human or animal blood in their rituals. Idi Amin grew up seeing all this. It was normal for him to kill someone and drink their blood. When Idi Amin was a child, his parents separated, and his mother took him to Bombo, Uganda. But she was so poor that she could not give Idi a complete education. And Idi had to drop out of high school to take care of the house. And he had to do small jobs to manage the house. And finally, at the age of 20 or 21, he joined the British military and started working as an assistant cook. Now, how can the colonizers not take advantage of this uneducated young man who is 6 feet 4 inches tall and speaks the local language of Uganda? They wanted an obedient soldier who would follow every order, and they saw all those qualities in Idi. Idi trained in military boxing, swimming, and rugby among the British, and then helped the British to maintain their dominance over Africa. Now, Idi was so loyal to Britishers that he started killing his own people for them. From 1952 to 1960, Idi fought on behalf of the British in the Mau Mau Revolt against Kenya and Somalia. Idi was so cruel that he used to burn alive the front soldiers in this revolt, or beat them in such a terrible way that the front people were afraid. His cruelty against his own people brought him to the attention of the British, and he became famous. Idi's military rank rose, and in 1962, he became the second highest ranking officer in the British Army. On his journey to build his position in the British Army, Idi finds a friend, Milton Obote. Obote held a high position in the British Army, and their friendship became so deep that they started smuggling their gold, ivory, mango, and ammunition and coffee. And the British Army did not even know about this. In fact, this was the period when they started abusing their power, and those who raised voice against them were killed. But the British officers were not aware of these evil deeds, and by the time they came to know, it was too late. Because the time for Uganda's independence was near, even if the British officers had punished Idi, it would not have mattered because the British had now lost their power. And if his own people were to punish Idi, then there was no other leader capable of handling Uganda at that time. And so, after Uganda gained independence on October 9, 1962, Obote became the president of Uganda, and Idi Amin became the commander-in-chief of all the armed forces. Now, it is obvious that Idi was under Obote, according to the regulation. But at first, these two used to be friends. Those who used to work together at the same level, it is obvious that a fight started between the two regarding position, power, and money. And this rift grew to such an extent that Idi started raising an entire army against Obote, which was ready to kill Obote together with Idi. But as soon as Obote got the news, he demoted Idi's rank. He elevated Idi from commander-in-chief of all the armed forces to commander-in-chief of the army and cut Idi's contact with the rest of the armed forces. And after that, Idi was furious. Now he wanted only two things: the presidency and Obote's death. But he did not do his work directly. To regain his position, he went among the people, danced with them, and understood and solved their problems. This made him quite popular among people, and people started trusting him, and he continued to do so for a long time. And then came the time that Idi was eagerly waiting for. Obote's death. But maybe the time did not allow that to happen. On January 25, 1971, Obote went to Singapore for the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, and taking advantage of this opportunity, Idi declared himself the president of Uganda. Now Uganda was already dominated by his army, besides his image in front of the people was also very clear. To the people of Uganda, he was only a soldier who cared about this country and its people, and this spirit made Idi Amin the leader of Uganda. And this is where a dark chapter in Uganda's history began. As soon as Idi took office, he first banned Obote from entering Uganda, and then spread the news throughout Uganda that if anyone is in contact with Obote, or whoever is informing him, if it is known, he will be killed at the same time. And then Idi created an assassination squad that no one knew about except Idi. Their only job was to eliminate anyone who wanted to kill Idi, or was a supporter of Obote. They had so much power that they used to kill entire tribes, just on suspicion. A similar tragic incident happened with the Acholi and Lengo tribes. Entire tribes were brutally killed on the mere suspicion that they were supporters of Obote. And then Idi did another crazy thing. In 1972, Idi Amin had a dream in which Idi saw that God commanded him to expel all Asians from Uganda. Now, did Idi really have a dream, or was he just trying to make a story in front of people? Only Idi Amin knows this. But as soon as he woke up in the morning, he did what no one would have thought about. He announced it in the whole country.
I had a dream sent last night from God. He has instructed me to throw out all Asians from the country. Uganda must be for Ugandans only.
And at that time, Indian traders and businesses were the largest among Asians, driving 60% of the Ugandan economy. And that is why Idi also felt that he was insecure, that in the future these people would start ruling over him, or that they would take away the opportunities of all Ugandans. And so gradually, the army began confiscating the properties of Asians who had not left Uganda and were sent to Idi Amin concentration camps. And some that were not ready to go were cut to pieces or sometimes fed alive to crocodiles. And it is said that Idi Amin fed 4,000 people to crocodiles. And gradually, all these killings began to take the form of genocide. And then everyone started being tortured, be it Asians or Ugandan tribal people. Idi Amin built 5 chambers in his own palace compound to see if people were being tortured properly or not. These chambers had no windows and no way for air to enter, and the doors of the chambers were always electrified, meaning that if anyone touched it, he would die there. His army would blindfold people and bring them to these chambers and close these chambers. People would scream and try to break the walls because of the suffocation inside. But Idi Amin would not order the doors of the chambers to be opened until he stopped hearing the voices from inside. And then he would feed all the dead bodies inside to the crocodiles. Many times he would leave water inside these chambers and then electrify it. And because of this, everyone inside would get electrocuted and they would die. And it is also said that Idi Amin was Hitler's biggest supporter. Idi himself said that if Hitler could do all this with Jews, why can't I do it with these people? Sometimes Idi would turn these chambers into gas chambers. He would lock people in and release the poisonous gas, and people would die by gasping for breath. It is said that Idi took the lives of more than 300,000 people in these torture chambers. Many times Idi would take their bodies to his room and then spend hours with them, or sometimes even sleep with them. And this room of Idi was very secret. No one was allowed to enter it. No one knew what Idi was doing there. And the secret of this room was revealed when one day his 5th wife secretly went to his room. And then what she saw, maybe she could not forget that scene for the rest of her life. There she saw 2 severed heads inside 2 large freezers, and in this room there were many corpses, some of which were missing organs, such as lips, liver, nose, and genitals. No one knew this side of Idi. After all, there was something that he was doing all this. But in front of the people, he was only a man of the people. But slowly these news started reaching people. His real form started coming in front of people, In fact, he had said in front of everyone in an interview that human meat is more salty than leopard meat. Idi's personal doctor had diagnosed him with mental illnesses like hypomania, schizophrenia, syphilis, but Idi was not ready to accept it. And over time, his obsession grew and Uganda's economy continued to decline, and then to stay in power, he invaded Tanzania and lost. After losing, he fled to Libya and then went to Saudi Arabia. And finally, on August 16, 2003, he died in Saudi Arabia due to organ failure. For some, Idi Amin was a good man, an angel, and for others, he was a cruel dictator.